Okay, we're live. This is the OSRA Scrum for Thursday, April 16th, 2015. Here we have Brian, Gabrielle, and myself. And Gabrielle, let's start with you.
Well, I made the change. I hope the last change for the group orphan functionality. Um, I have your suggestions and I try to make the change. I add the missing field, and I think everything runs fine. Uh, but I don't know. I still get the merge um the merge um the merge I don't know the merge as a message on GitHub. Uh, I don't know how to try to merge or doing something else.
Yeah, just a second, let me have a look at it. Actually, yeah, let me share my screen too so that we're all there. Yeah, we can't merge, it says. Okay. So have you done recently a rebase against develop?
No.
Yeah, I think that should fix it if you give it a shot. So make sure you pull down the latest version of develop and then do a rebase on top of it.
Okay.
And yeah, that hopefully should clear up any problems. And I'll take a look at it maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, so that if everything looks good, I'll just go ahead and merge it then.
I just add the missing fields. Doing the suggestions you said. I have to change a little bit the factory of the orphans.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that this pull request was very close to being complete already. So yeah, I think that should do it for us. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you know yet what you're going to work on next?
I think it's about the task of that one.
That one. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was trying.
Yeah, that should.
Yeah, I was trying to do. Well, first thinking about the way to do it, and then if I'm not so sure about the strategy or the implementation, yeah, I will ask for your guys' opinions or something.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I think that should be a good one, a good story to do. It's useful for the client, so that will make them happy, and it gives the application a bit of extra functionality too. So that should be a pretty good story to deliver for us.
Okay.
All right, Brian, let's go to you.
I haven't been working on anything. I've been too busy with other stuff, but I do have an update. I think I should be able to work on some stuff in May.
Yeah.
That's great.
My schedule's changing a little bit. Not as much as I'd like, but just enough, I think.
Well, still, that sounds good. That's, what, about 2 weeks away? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be good to have more people in here, for sure. It would be good to have you back.
Right.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, let me wrap up then. So basically, the only OSRA work that I had time for had to do with this, the task OSRA 355, highlighting mandatory form fields. So I had one pull request submitted that monkey patched the form builder to add an extra method to it. And that basically it examined whether or not the attribute has a presence validation on it, and if it did, then it would append the CSS class to it, and that CSS styling was then to just add required in brackets after the field name. So there was quite a bit of discussion about the implementation there, and I asked for Craig's opinion because he was involved initially when Robbie had submitted a solution for this. And so Craig spoke out adamantly against monkey patching, and that got myself, Christian, and Gabrielle all kind of researching this topic a bit and looking into it. And what I ended up doing was I tried to make the monkey patch as sort of safe and inoffensive as possible by putting it into a separate module and then only including that module within the specific forms instead of doing it globally. And once I did that, I realized that the whole solution was essentially exactly the same as just subclassing the Rails form builder and defining your own custom method in a subclass. So I submitted a second pull request that has that implementation in it instead. And it sounds to me at this point that that's the better way to go ahead, but I haven't seen any comments yet on it, so we'll see what the rest of the team feels about it.
I am wondering if you want to do it globally. How would you do it, or what is going to be the idea behind it?
So globally, what you can do is you can say you can tell Rails basically which form builder to use by default. So by default, it is configured, of course, to just use the native Action View helpers form builder. But if you have your own custom form builder, you can just change one setting in the config, and that basically affects the entire application, so that by default it will start using your custom form builder. And the solution with the monkey patch would be that if you do the monkey patching, if you put that into the initializer, then the monkey patching happens when the application starts up. So again, in that case, it affects everything.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Cool. It's a very nice feature, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's been a very good area to think, very interesting stuff to think about. I mean, you know, Craig is very, like I said, he's very much against monkey patching, but then when you look at Rails, it monkey patches the hell out of Ruby.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a, I don't know.
I have been reading a lot about the monkey patching, about try to do other things, but many people is still doing it. And what the Ruby developers are trying to limitate, the monkey patching, because many people are doing some crazy stuff. So that was I read was kind of it's very interesting. The first time I read something like it, so it's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very powerful feature of the language that you can, at runtime, basically open up a class and dynamically modify it. But it's also a pretty dangerous thing to do, especially when multiple people are working on the same code base. So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think one of the big benefits of using Ruby in the first place is so that you can monkey patch. So I think never doing it is not a good idea. You should be able to do it, but just be careful about how you do it.
Yeah, I felt like the way I did it initially was already pretty safe. The way I did it on the second iteration was absolutely safe, because actually I can share on my screen. I could show you how I handled it the second time around. So I had in config initializers, I basically had a module that defined this label for field method, and so that extends the native form builder.
Did that
And
override the other method?
no, it did not. So it's a brand new method that does not exist in the native form builder, but then what it does at the end is it calls the native label method.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then and the way to avoid mixing this module into the form builder globally was to do it on a per form basis. So you see on every form,
You need to add it. Yeah.
yeah, the very first directive was to mix in the module.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah, I
that'll
don't
be,
know. I don't know about changing the label for field thing. That doesn't quite look right.
well, the discussion, everybody's opinion seemed to boil down to we don't want to override a native method and make it unavailable, or not even so much make it unavailable, but make it look like we're calling the native method when in fact we're calling something else.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Craig's original suggestion was to subclass form builder, but then redefine the label method, and at the end just call super. But I think we would have run into the same kind of confusion where you think it's a regular label method, but instead it spits out something different.
So I have a question. Could you have done it the way that you showed me just now, except instead of changing the name, like making it label for field, you could just make it label, and then you could check for a certain argument in the list of arguments, and if that's there, then do it this way. And either way, whether it's there or not, then delegate it to super or the old one.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you have to call the method differently, right?
Well, you would call it exactly the same, but at the end you would put something, some kind of hash option, like mark required true or something.
Yeah. Well, it's an alternative, I suppose. Yeah. I ultimately I don't see how, like, everything that we talked about, I don't see anything that is, head and shoulders better than anything else. I think they're all versions of different things. I mean, here, for example, with this implementation, because we so clearly mix in an extra module, I think I would feel better about not using this label for a field, but actually just using label, because people should catch on pretty quickly that we're using a custom function rather than the native one. And the same basically happens with the subclassing, because when you subclass, you do this form for, and then here you specify which form builder the form should use. So again, it's pretty transparent. You can see right here that it's a custom form builder, not the native one. But I don't know. We also, part of the discussion was about people coming to join the project in the future, especially possibly pretty new Rails developers. So to make it as transparent for them as possible.
Yeah, that's something we shouldn't forget about too. That's important.
Yeah, yeah. So in the end, I think that the overall consensus seemed to be that we should not override anything and should make things as clear as possible.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so that's me. There are basically those two pull requests sitting there for people, and it failed again. It's probably the same failures before. It's this apostrophe tripping us up.
That apostrophe has been tripping it up for, what, 4 months now?
Yeah, Christian's got a pull request in there to fix it. There's been code review on it, but he hasn't resubmitted, I think.
I thought that was already fixed like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Hmm.
How was it fixed? Do you remember?
Something about HTML escaping.
Yeah, you know what? I tried it both ways, and there were times when I specifically saw a problem when it was HTML escape. So whatever fix somebody had put in doesn't seem to have worked fully. Anyway, what he's doing right now is he's replacing all the mini-test assertions with capybara matchers instead.
That'll work.
That's what he's done, and effectively.
So
just,
you can get the seed off of that, run it, and you can run the same seed on your own machine. It should fail the same way if you use the same seed.
yeah, well, I mean, I can even hard code these values if I'm trying to test it, but like I said, I think once we switch over to capybara, this problem just goes away automatically, and we don't need to worry too much about it. All right. Is there anything else for us to talk about, guys?
No, not for me.
Okay then. So there is no client meeting again this weekend, and Christian should be back next week. And Brian is dangling the possibility that he'll be back in 2 weeks.
It's looking May.
Yeah. Well, that would be a very welcome change for the project, I can tell you.
That would be welcome for me personally as well.
All right then.
Nice.
Okay, guys, then take care, and I guess I'll see you on Tuesday.
Yeah. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Okay.